is my birthday month, so I have decided to spoil myself with a few bookish things. I've got loads of books. I was going to share where I got each set of books, if that makes sense, but I think I might break it down by genre instead, because I've got some books that are from just the high street bookshops, I've got some from charity bookshops, I've got some from 66 Book Club, which, if you haven't heard, it's basically like a book warehouse that is open to trade only. However, on I think the first weekend of every month they open to the public, and I think because it's quite recently become really popular, they've opened a few other weekends. But if you want to know more information, I think if you just Google them, they have a Facebook page. They do have a website as well, but they usually update their dates on the Facebook page. But anyway, I've got a few books from there, and then I have got a few books that I've bought online, if I didn't already say that. So yeah, quite a lot of books, and I think it will probably be better if I break them down by genre rather than where I got them from. And then if there is time, if I haven't gone on for too long, then I will share the books that I've picked up from the library for my June TBR. So the first thing and the biggest thing that I have treated myself, which you probably guessed from the title, is my very first Kindle. It was on my wish list for quite a while, but I hadn't decided whether I really wanted one or not, and that is because I didn't realise on a Kindle you can't listen to or download books from the library. I use two different apps from the library. I believe in the US you can, but I'm in the UK and you can't do that. So I didn't know whether the Kindle would be worth it, because it meant I can only read books bought from the Amazon Kindle store, I believe, and listen to books from Audible, which I do purchase books from them anyway, but they're not my only means of listening and purchasing ebooks and audiobooks. So I wasn't sure whether I wanted one or not, but then I did want an e-reader, and a Kobo came up as well, but the reviews, I guess the reviews weren't as good as the Kindle for a Kobo, and I wanted the option to be able to read Kindle books, which I don't know if you can do on Kobo or not. Obviously I didn't do my research that well. Anyway, I decided to go with Kindle because I've got my tablet if I do want to listen to or read books from the library, so I can download the apps, the library apps, onto my tablet. I use Libby and BorrowBox, and then for anything else or the other books I've now got the Kindle, and I prefer the Kindle because I went with the Paperwhite because you can adjust the screen, the warm light in the screen, because I've mainly got it to read in bed, but I can travel around with it as well. It's really lightweight, and the light itself comes from basically the light, I believe, is shining onto the Kindle, also onto the page that you're reading, whereas the light coming from tablets and phones, most of them, are shining out at you. So yeah, I got the Kindle, so I'm just covering up my address, but I got the Kindle Paperwhite Kids. The only reason I got the Kids was because it was slightly, I say slightly, was it 10 or 20 pounds? I think it was 10 pounds cheaper than the adult one. I say adult, so the non-kids version. They're exactly the same, the specs are exactly the same, and with the kids one you get a cover included as well, and it's ad-free, which you would need to pay another £10 for to remove ads from the adult one, I believe. Well, it was either 10 or £20 difference, and it was an offer as well. But either way, I didn't see the harm in getting the kids one when the specs are exactly the same. I've got a 2-year guarantee with it, whereas with the adult one you just get 1 year, and I guess having that 2-year guarantee or warranty, whichever it is, it makes me a little bit less anxious about letting my children use it. So I need to play around with it, see if there is an option in which I can have different users, because obviously I have books that are not suitable for my children. But because it's a kids one, I do have access to the Amazon Kids library, which reading the reviews is apparently not great, but it might still have some interesting books on it. So if there is a way that I can let my children use it when I'm not using it, then it's great all round, right? Next up, I was going to go by genre. I guess I can start with what's in here. It's a book that I have been wanting to get for a very long time. And I was waiting because two of these books, sorry, let me open this first. Let's have a little game and see if you can guess. This book is part of a trilogy. All three books have been released. They were released, I think, a few years back. Is it a romantasy or is it a fantasy? I think it's a romantasy. It's not the author's first work. It's a second trilogy. And I was waiting because, and this will probably give it away for anyone that has read the books or pays as much attention as I do. The first two books, there are no hard covers available. The third book in the series is currently available in hardcover, whereas the first two, unless you got special editions, at least in the UK, is the hardcovers are no longer available. It was, I believe, just special editions, or they're just not being printed. I'm not sure, but I wanted to have all three the same. I haven't even read them yet. I haven't read them, but for some reason, I have put my expectations really high up because I really loved her first trilogy. And I think overall it's been given some really good ratings, but not the greatest. Whereas with her second one, it's definitely one that has gone viral, or it had gone viral. And I believe it does remain a favourite of many people. So without having read them, I decided to order them because now with Waterstones, they have revealed the cover of the paperback of the third one, which is due to come out on my birthday itself, and I've pre-ordered that. So without much further ado, I have finally got my hands on Once Upon a Broken Heart. I loved Stephanie Garber's Caravel series. I've mentioned it previously, but it's one of the very first fantasy books I'd picked up in a very long time, earlier this year, or was it December last year, but a very long time of reading fantasy, and I fell in love with those books so much, and these have received a lot more praise than what Caraval did. So I've got Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I have got The Ballad of Never After. So I'm just waiting on the third book. Yeah, I'm just so happy. So I've seen other people's hardcovers of these and they are beautiful, but the third paperback from Waterstones, so their exclusive, looks really gorgeous. And I think the paperback on Amazon looks really nice as well, but I liked the fact that it was a bit more of a blue. Let me see if I can find a picture for you. Hold on a minute. Okay. Now, hopefully you'll be able to see this. I will say my phone isn't, it's very old and I love her, but she's getting on a bit. I don't know if you'll be able to see that at all, but those colours up. But though these, there we go. Oh, it's not going to focus in. Nope. But anyway, it looks gorgeous, so I'm happy I've ordered that, and I just need to wait until, I guess once it's published and sent out, maybe near the end of the month. So yeah, I've got these to look forward to, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to start these, honestly. And seeing as I started with romantasy, I guess I'll carry on with that genre. So basically, I've just gone through all the books and I don't actually have any other romantasies, which is really strange because I've got loads on my TBR and I'm just trying to work out where I was planning on getting. Oh, I guess I think the majority in that case are either on my wish list or I've requested in at the library, because it's very strange. I didn't actually buy any romantasies because I can honestly say I am definitely in my romantasy era. I don't know how long it will last. I don't know if it's an ongoing thing, whether it's just a phase, but I'm living for it and I'm loving it. So the next books, I have got some fantasy, and these are, I basically picked these up from the charity bookstore, I got them thinking that I would enjoy them, but at some point when my daughter is old enough, she can start reading them as well. And it's The School for Good and Evil. I don't know, I think there's maybe 6 books in the series. 6 or 7. They have these 3 in there, and it's not the first 3, it's not even in order. I don't even know. I think this, no, it can't. I don't think it's the first one because it's The Last Ever After. There's this one. I've got A Crystal of Time. I love these covers as well. There is a movie adaptation and I started watching it. I didn't finish it. I think it's one of those ones. It wasn't bad. It just, I find it a bit wooden. Or maybe I just wasn't in the right mood for it. But from what I can remember, it was, I did feel that it's definitely a book that I would enjoy reading. And considering, I thought it was just one book, but considering it's a whole series, then yes, a whole series brought into just one movie, unless the one movie was only based on the first book, but no other movies have come out, in which case maybe they didn't do a great job of the movie, or maybe they have just, I don't know. I don't really know about the movie, but anyway, I'm looking forward to the books. So I've got The Last Ever After, which possibly could be the last one. I've got A Crystal of Time, and I've got Quests for Glory. And I don't believe any of those are the first, but what I'll do is when I decide to start these, I will see what age they're recommended for, but I don't think my daughter is old enough just yet. I think there may be some unsuitable themes in there, but I could be wrong, I'm not sure. Look into that, and maybe it's something I will read alongside my daughter. And what else did I pick up? This book, I got Cemetery Boys. It was not one that I picked myself. It's one that's included in a book bundle that I bought. Summoning a ghost should be easy for Brujo, right? Let's see. Yadriel has summoned a ghost and now he can't get rid of him. To gain his family's acceptance, Yadriel has to prove himself a real Brujo by summoning his cousin's ghost. But when he accidentally summons the ghost of his high school... Oh, someone's a bit hungry. But when he accidentally summons the ghost of his high school's resident bad boy instead, things get complicated. For Julian won't go into death quietly. More time Yadriel and Julian spend together. I don't know why I'm saying Yadriel. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce his name. And the more time Yadriel and Julian spend together, the harder it is to let each other go. Okay. It's definitely something that is not a summer read for me. And I will check it on Goodreads and see where I will decide to fit it in. If not, I know it's very bad of me that I should give books a try, whether they're rated badly on Goodreads or not, correct? But there's so many books that are rated really good, so I feel like, why am I going to waste my time with books that aren't so high up? I should give them a chance. I know these authors, they have put in their hard work and dedication to bring out their work of art. It's not calling to me now. I don't know if it's like a Halloween season. I don't usually get into ghosts and ghouls and everything for Halloween, but I do think it's definitely got an autumn vibe to it, so I might leave it to that. But yes, I'm not going to lie, I will check the reviews first. I've picked up a couple of thrillers because I feel, as much as I love the romantasy, I do feel I need to break it up a bit. And although I feel that summer is more my season of romance, I miss a good thriller. I haven't read one in a while, I don't think. Yeah, I can't remember the last thriller that I read. But anyway, I picked up The Silent Patient from, I believe it was the charity bookshop. And listen to this. Alicia Berenson lived a seemingly perfect life until one day 6 years ago, when she shot her husband in the head 5 times. Since then, she hasn't spoken a single word. It's time to find out why. I was hooked. I was like, I have to read this. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Only she knows what happened. Only I can make her speak. So we've got, and then the other one I got was The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. This is my first Riley Sager book. I'm really looking forward to it. I've heard he or she or they, I'm not too sure actually, I've heard Riley Sager writes really well, as in the books are written like a movie. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm just looking, the type is very small. It's very small. If you see that. So although it doesn't feel like that big of a book, it might, let's see, 349, so 350 pages, but the type is very small. But either way, I am looking forward to getting back into reading thrillers as well. So those are the only two thrillers that I've got. And I picked that up, this one I picked up from the 66 Book Club. I feel like they might have had another one of his books as well, but I'm trying to refrain from buying from authors that I haven't read yet, because I might just not enjoy it. That author's writing may not be for me, despite a lot of other people enjoying it. So I thought I'd just stick with the one. And what I also picked up from the 66 Book Club, and this is because her writing I do actually really enjoy. And I picked up the Natural series. So it's 4 books. I don't know if there's any more. We've got The Naturals, Killer Instinct, All In, and Bad Blood. I have absolutely no idea what they are about. But the reason I picked them up is because I know they've got good reviews, but it's because I have this is the first book I've read in June. This is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. It is, I believe, part of a quartet, as are the Naturals series. As you might have been able to tell, I like to get things, it's not an OCD thing, I just like things to look at cohesive, especially my bookshelves, which are all over the place at the moment. Maybe you guys can help me with making a video on clearing out and organizing my bookshelf. Anyway, let's not go off. So that buy was inspired by reading this. I am currently on book 2 of the Inheritance Games. I think it's called The Brothers Hawthorne. No, The Hawthorne Legacy. And I think book 3 is, let me see, whilst I'm waiting, let's see if I can scroll through this whilst I'm also trying to talk to you. This is The Inheritance Games. It's basically a book about a girl called Avery who inherits from a billionaire that's passed away. She's left with practically his entire fortune, but a tiny percentage which is given to his very immediate family. However, he has 4 grandsons, and those grandsons are given like a minuscule amount compared to the billions that she is left with. And we're basically trying to work out why has this billionaire left her with his basically his entire estate, really. I really like the mystery in this book. It's so fast paced. I didn't want to put it down. I read it within, I think, a couple of days. What's it called? $1 Billion Fortune to Die For. Oh, and yes, there are people trying to kill her because obviously she's inheriting a billionaire's fortune. So book 2 is The Hawthorne Legacy, and I'm currently reading that. I won't go too much into this because I'm not wrapping up this video, but I enjoyed it so much that when I saw The Naturals in the 66 Book Club, I picked up the entire series. And then, completely out of season, and I'm not the type to celebrate in June, but I'm just going to share, I picked this up from there as well, and I loved, this is Father Christmas and Me by Matt Haig. Last Christmas I read A Boy Called Christmas for the first time, and I loved it so much. I loved it, so I've got this for this Christmas. I'm just going to move on to, it's a mixture because I haven't fully sorted through it, even though I said I did. But it's just a mixture of contemporary and romance. Contemporary romance, and I think that's it. We will start with Funny Story by Emily Henry. If you have seen any of my previous videos in which I talk about Emily Henry, well, I don't really talk about her because I've only tried reading one of her books, and that was Happy Place, and I didn't get around to finishing it. Now hear me out, hear me out. I didn't hate it. I feel like I just wasn't in the mood for it. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I wasn't in the mood for it. However, I wanted to give Emily Henry another chance. Funny story, the synopsis sounded funny, which I always love. And this colour theme, I adore. This is one of my absolutely favourite colour themes. And if that's not a reason to buy a book, then what is? I was lucky enough to get a copy from the library, but I didn't get around to reading it until I think a few days before I had to return it. I started it and I've really enjoyed it. I think I only got into, let's see, because then I only got around 33 pages in, but I really enjoyed it, so I thought, why not just buy it? A few of the reviews have told me that it started well and then it went downhill, and I heard the same thing about Happy Place, which is why I thought, well, if it's going to go downhill and it's not started so well for me, then do I want to continue? But this one has started well for me, and I'm still hoping it continues that way. So started with a funny story. So following in the path of Emily Henry, there are two other authors, which I was meant to make a video about this actually, because I had a list of 24 and 24, and it was basically 24, was it 24? I might have broken it down by 12 authors and 12 titles that I want to read. Or was it 8 authors, 8 titles and 8 series? I don't know. I can't remember. I'll have to check my notes. But it was basically 24 and 24. And of the authors that I wanted to... So what I was trying to explain before my camera so rudely interrupted by cutting out because I ran out of memory. Clearly I am maybe talking a bit too much, but one of the authors whose books I would like to read in 2024 is Abby Jimenez. I haven't read any of her books. I have heard great things, and I'm looking forward to reading Just for the Summer because it's in the title, it sounds like an ideal summer read, and I think we have picked it out for our book club, I think in August. And I picked this up from the 66 book club. It is the Happy Ever After playlist. I don't know if this is a standalone book or whether it is part of a series. Maybe this is interlinked with the Friend Zone. I will need to check it out to find out, but I have no idea what it's about. I didn't even check. It was just because I want to start reading Abby Jimenez books. I don't think I'm going to go into the summaries of any of these books because I will most likely go through them when they are added to my TBR. So this is the Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. I also picked up The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. Again, I haven't read any of her books. I hear they are very funny, so I'm looking forward to reading that at some point. I also picked up, these are all actually from the 66 book club. I've picked up Get a Life Chloe Brown and Take a Hint Danny Brown. And I don't know, I believe there's a third. I believe these are books, they're by Talia Hibbert, and they are part of a trilogy surrounding, I believe, is it Three Sisters? Three Sisters, and I have nothing, I don't know anything else about them, but I think it might start with this one. Chloe Brown is chronically ill. Oh no, but I said I wouldn't do that. So sorry, I'm not going to. Sorry for teasing you like that. I'm not going to get into them when I decide when I will read them, because I don't think these actually, no, I know these aren't going to be on my June TBR. So when I add them onto my TBR and get the third book as well, then I will go into the synopsis of that. I also picked up Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. This will most likely, it will definitely be on my summer TBR. Possibly not in June. I believe this is a book about a lady who loses her mother, and I believe her mother's last wishes, or one of her last wishes, was to have the girl travel to, I don't know why I'm saying girl, it's not a young girl, to have the woman, our lead character, travel to Tuscany, which is where her father is from, and I think we just follow her or go with her to Tuscany and discover romance there. Something along those lines. But yeah, it sounds like a fun summer read. So, Love and Gelato. I did pick up some children's books, some junior fiction middle grade, and some younger children's books for both my children. But I don't have them with me right now, so I'm just going to go through the adult books. And yes, I picked up Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. I have actually read this book, and I've got the second book. I read this as an ebook, but because I've got the second book and I really like the cover, I just decided to get the first book, and I have pre-ordered the third book. My initial reactions to the first book were that I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, but it has stayed with me, surprisingly. So maybe I did like it more than I thought I would, or I don't know. It's stayed with me, and I am looking forward to reading this one. I hope, sorry, not this one. I've already read this one. So I'm really looking forward to reading Tastes Like Shako. What am I say? Sugar. Shako is sugar in. Am I saying? Yeah. Shako is sugar in English. No. Sugar is English. Shako is sugar in Hindi and possibly Punjabi as well. I'm thinking because the main character is Punjabi. But either way, I did enjoy that book. No, why am I? I need sleep and I need food. Book 1, Dating Dr. Dill, I have read and I enjoyed. I believe I may have given it a 3-star. I've got book number 2, which isn't with me right now, but it's called Tastes Like Shako. And book number 3 is called Marriage and Musti, and I think that is out in September, sometime later this year. So those are all the titles I picked up from this 66 book club, which is in Hemel Hempstead, and that is just a little bit out of London. I would say if you are going, you need a lot of patience and a lot of time, because it literally is a whole warehouse over 2 floors of books, and there's a bit of structure in that. It's not chaos, but you will want to go down every single aisle, lane, whatever those things are called in warehouses. But yeah, if you love your books, then it's worth a visit if it's not too far. But the queues tend to be very long in the mornings, so I suggest you join their Facebook page, because they actually update you on the queues every hour or so, or every couple of hours, just so you know how busy it is, which is very helpful. So I've only been twice, but both times I haven't had to queue. I think both times I went on a Sunday, possibly around 1 p.m. Was it 1 or 2? After like late lunchtime, around that, and I had to queue. I believe Saturdays tend to be busy, and the mornings are the busiest. But yeah, they will be able to update you on that. And no, it's not sponsored. It's I guess the biggest thing I forgot to include is that the books that they sell are 70% off RRP. So it is a huge saving if you find books that you're looking for, which isn't always the case. I didn't find books or titles that I was looking for in specific, but I did find other books that I am happy that I did. So the book I bought from Vinted, the book bundle, was basically for this book itself, The Spanish Love Deception. Heard mixed reviews about this book, but ultimately I bought it because it sounds like a light-hearted summer read, and so I got this, and alongside this in the book bundle, I'm just going to kind of whiz through these because I haven't read, to be honest, the summary of any of them. I don't know when I'll read them. I will check them out because some titles I'm familiar with, some I've never heard of, and there's quite a few here. So there's The Hating Game, which, as it says there, has been turned into a movie as well. We've got Two Wrongs Make a Right. Got What If. I've got Stuck on You. This one looks like a Christmassy read. You've Reached Sam. Looking Out for Love. The Heart Principle. How to Kill Men and Get Away with It. And finally we have The Staycation, which again looks like an ideal summer read, doesn't it? So those are the books that I got part of the book bundle from Vinted. And then finally I've got 2 books left, which both I got from a charity bookshop. I've got The Interpreter of Maladies by Jhumpa Lahiri, which I think for this one I need to be in a certain state of mind. I believe it is one that is going to be very emotional. So I basically need to layer these kind of books in a very love-filled, happy, positive sandwich, because they really do, especially when they're written really well written, they stick with me. They stick with me for a long time. It affects my mental health and just the type of person I am on a day-to-day life. That sounds very dramatic. Maybe it's not that dramatic, but the impact it has on me is actually that deep. So it's not to say that I won't read the book, because I do really enjoy reading. Enjoy is not the right word. I like reading those kind of books because of A, the way they're written, and two, and B, because they really do open up my mind and my soul, but they open up my mind to just seeing different perspectives of life, different ways of living, different cultures. It's really enriching, but also very heartbreaking at the same time. But books like that, they deserve to be read, and that's why I read them. And I am lucky to be able to read them as well. And finally, the last book that I picked up was Tom Hanks's The Making of Another Major Motion Picture Masterpiece. Now that's a mouthful. I have absolutely no idea what this book is about, but I absolutely adore Tom Hanks as an actor, as a person. Well, no, I haven't met him, so I say as a person, as the person I perceive him to be when I see him on, I guess, interviews and on his social media. I'm rambling on. I really adore Tom Hanks. I love his movies. I love the characters he chooses to play and how well he plays them. And I enjoyed Uncommon Type, his first book. I think this might be his second one, I'm not too sure. But Uncommon Type I enjoyed. To be honest, the genre wasn't really up my street, but I liked his style of writing. And I don't know if this is written by a ghostwriter. It'd be upsetting if it was, wasn't it? But yeah, that's the last book. A wildly ambitious story of making of a colossal star-studded multi-million-dollar superhero action film and the humble comic book that inspired it all. Spanning 80 years of a changing America and culminating in the opening of the film, we meet a colourful cast of characters including a troubled soldier returning from war, a young boy with an artistic gift, an inspired and eccentric director, a pompous film star on the rise, a tireless production assistant, and countless film crew members who together create Hollywood magic. So there we go. So we've been through all of those books, and why are none of them on my June TBR? Well, actually, the majority of them aren't. Once Upon a Broken Heart is a trilogy itself. I don't see me getting through in a week, but I did say that I would be reading it during my birthday week. And yes, I know I sound like I've given that trilogy a very big place in my heart, considering I know very little about it. I have an inkling. I've read of one of the characters from the Caraval series being in this trilogy, and then I just told myself to just stop, because I have this issue where I overthink, and I don't want to. I like the element of surprise most of the time, but as in with my books, I like the element of surprise. I do like to know a summary of a lot of books, but with this one I would have been happy to go in with blindly, and I kind of am, other than the fact that I know one of the characters in there. But I have told myself I'll be starting that series next week. But other than that, the other books are not on my June TBR, and that's because of the books that I do have, and I'll go through them now. These are some of the books that I picked up from the library. But I picked up, I mean, I requested them. I think there's a couple that were in the library, but the majority are, I requested them. And the fact that I requested them tends to mean that I will only have them for the 3 weeks. 3 weeks sounds like enough time to read one book, and yes, it definitely is. But because I have multiple books, I don't know when they will arrive at the library. So I can request for one, and then it can come in 8 weeks. And then what do I do for those 8 weeks? And I hear you. I've just shown you a whole load of books that I could read during those 8 weeks. But I'm too greedy. So I request in a whole load of books that I want to read, and I just wait for them to come in. And when they do, as like this time, you will see I've got, hold on, I'm just counting 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 books here, and I think I've got another 2 downstairs. So downstairs I've got A Happy Place, which I do want to give another go to. I don't know if I'll finish Funny Story or just read Happy Place, because Funny Story I've bought now, so there's not a rush to read that, whereas with Happy Place I'll need to return it back to the library. But I've got Happy Place, and I've got Neverless, which again I mentioned in my previous video, but I just didn't get around to reading it. So I've managed to renew that one. But with these books that I'm going to share with you, I don't think I'll get a chance to renew them, because I know they are popular. And so I've got 3 weeks, well, less than 3 weeks now, because when did I go to the library? Sometime last week. Sometime, I don't know, I'm boring you with these details. Let me just get on with the books. Sorry, the glare might be, I don't know if you can see this well enough or not. But I have never read a Brandon Sanderson story, but this is a standalone. It's part of the Cosmic Universe, which I believe is one of his other book series. But this can be read on its own, and it's Tress of the Emerald Sea. I believe he wrote this book for his wife, which is so sweet. And it's been likened to, well, I don't know if the story itself is likened to it, but it's been, again, I can't say it's been inspired, because I don't think that's come from his words. Or maybe it has, I don't know. But basically, a lot of people have said that it gives the Princess Bride vibes. Princess Bride, I never read it, but I grew up watching that movie. It is one of my all-time favorites. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I was describing this, but I've just read New York Times and Sunday Times best-selling author Brandon Sanderson introduces you to his cosmic universe with a rollicking, riveting standalone tale that will appeal to fans of The Princess Bride. Okay, so it says on the book, and yes, I love The Princess Bride. I grew up, I haven't read it. I don't know if I will, because again, there's no element of surprise when I know what's going to happen. And yes, I know 9 out of 10 times the book is better than the movie, but I loved the movie and I know what happens in there. So anyway, looking forward to reading this. I also picked up The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. V.E. Schwab is another author that is on my 24 in 24. I haven't read any of her other books, and I heard about this one and I thought it sounds very interesting. It's based in France, 1714. A desperate woman makes a desperate deal in the dark, a bargain to live forever but be remembered by none. So I believe Addie LaRue, who I think possibly she's going through a time where she feels invisible, or just her friends and family just don't really pay her attention. I'm not too sure, but I believe she makes a deal with the devil, or she makes a deal with someone and trades her life. Is it her life? So is it her life? Well, not her life, because she's still alive. But yeah, she makes a trade and becomes invisible, I believe. I'm not explaining it as well as I should, and that's because again I haven't read the summary this time. Usually when I hear other booktubers talking about a book, and when I've heard it by several different ones, it sticks with me. It sounds like a book I want to read. Then I tend to remember the title and author, and that's probably about it. until I read it myself, which I'm happy with because, like I said, I do prefer to go in slightly blind into reading these books. Been on my reading list for I don't know how long, but it is Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. And it's a retelling. It's not a retelling. I use the word retelling very, very loosely, but I'll just say a retelling, although I'll use the word... Sorry. Manny's just got home and I can hear him talking to the neighbours, so if you can hear them then I'm sorry, but I need to crack on with this because I'm hungry. It's lunchtime, I still need to make dinner and pack the girls' snacks, so I don't have time to wait for them to finish their little chit-chatting. But yes, Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. It's I'm going to say a retelling. This is a retelling of Kaikeyi, who is the aunt of a Hindu god Ram, and we hear about her story. So in the original Ramayana, I say original, one of the originals, Kaikeyi, his aunt, is usually depicted to be an evil lady. Evil, I don't know, evil's not the right word. Basically, she is the reason behind, well, not the reason behind, but she had requested for Prince Ram to leave the kingdom and be exiled for 14 years. That's just a very brief overview. But in this story, we see it more from her perspective, and just really looking forward to it because I grew up on the story of Ramayana. I grew up in a Hindu household, so I loved hearing the stories, and like all other mythology, it's something that I am so fascinated by. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing this retelling of Kaikeyi. I also requested Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands by Heather Fawcett, and no, I haven't read the first book, which is a big shame, and I'm not going to read this until I've read the first one. I requested the first one, I didn't get around to reading it. It came through, I didn't get around to reading it, I had to return it, and then this one turned up, and I've got, I think I'll do is, if it seems realistic that I'll be able to fit this in before it's due back, then I'll just buy the first book. I do think I'm going to enjoy it anyway. I mean, it's fantasy, it's fae, there's whimsy, what's there not to like about it, right? So I probably will buy the first one. And also I've just remembered that I haven't started my book club book yet, which is a short read, and I think that'll get done within a couple of days, maybe in one day, because it is a really short book. No, one day is very ambitious. A couple of days, I think I'll be able to get that one done, which I don't have it with me right now. I've got it on here. It is Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. So this says page 1 of 331, but clearly my phone is very small. The paperback, I believe, is 160 pages or so it is a short book. Anyway, 2 books left from the library. I have got The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out of the Window and Disappeared. I mentioned this in, I think, one of my previous videos, and yes, I still have it. This book, although I'm enjoying it, it's one that I'm enjoying in small doses. It's not gripped me enough for me to just want to plow through, but it's funny. It's funny, it's entertaining. I do want to be with him on his adventures and see what's going on. So that's why I haven't got rid of it yet, or not got rid of it. That's why I haven't returned it yet. I'm enjoying it, but I like taking my time with this one. And finally, I picked up The Troublemakers by Tamsin Merchant. This is book 3. I have got book 1 and book 2. This is a YA, a middle grade book, and I think I might do a bit of a readathon with those 3 books, because my daughter, she started the first one and she really enjoyed it, and then she just stopped it halfway, and I just want to read them to see if she should persevere or not. So those are the books that I've bought. I have got a few more that I bought on my Kindle, but I think I'll share them another time, because as you can see, my library books and the Once Upon a Broken Heart series will definitely keep me busy in June, and our book club book. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.